Have you noticed how the parties and the functions we attend don't seem to be the same as they used to be? They used to be a lot more enjoyable, at least in my opinion. They used to be richer. They used to have different conversations. The laughter used to stem from a completely different place. Nowadays, if you're at a function and you hear laughter across the room through the crowd, it's almost always followed by, I saw this on TikTok. I heard this on TikTok. And that's something that is completely different than how it used to be. And I know if you're a man 45 or over, you probably have noticed that. It's not much you can do. Society is what it is. And that's how we get our entertainment. But I have a question. For that same cookout or barbecue that you attend, if you're a man, what do you normally bring? Now, I know the solid answer is going to be you bring beer. That's something that is acceptable for just about any cookout, any function. Maybe you bring wine. But if you bring wine, you have to know the room a little bit more. Maybe you even bring some meat for the grill. But if you do that, you definitely have to be a person who sits close to the front of the table. You have to be a person who is going to be invited up to the grill. But what I'm going to say is what we all bring, what every one of us brings. We bring ourselves. And what I mean by that is we bring the person that has the stories, the person that has the experience, the person who actually brings atmosphere to the room, to the barbecue, to the cookout. You do that by the life that you lived, the experiences you've had, the hobbies that you have indulged in for years and years. And if you are the type of person who shows up authentically, but shows up in a way that was shaped by life experiences, you're always the life of the party. And the reason why I think parties, cookouts, functions, get-togethers are different now is because we don't have those same driving forces that make us rich individuals. We don't have the same hobbies that we used to, or we don't have them in the same concentration or the same numbers and intensity that we used to. We're far too often entertained by what we can pull out of our pocket or what's scrolling on Netflix. And there's nothing wrong with a little bit of escapism in that regard. But a true captivating man, and that's the audience that I'm talking to. I'm not talking about that manosphere that people tend to shun. I'm talking to 45, 55, 60-year-old men. We've lived a lot of life. We've had experiences that have been shaped by all the things that we've done. And honestly, we need to get back to that. We need to put down the phones and pick up the chisel, the saw. We need to fix a 2-stroke engine, paddle a kayak, whatever you want to do for your hobbies. Make a garage band. I really don't care. But if we want to have those rich stories, we want to be able to captivate that room and that audience, we need to get back to doing the things that we do after work, that we do on Saturdays. And I'm not talking about the honey-do list. The gutters need to get cleaned. The car needs to get washed. All those things are true and solid things. I'm talking about getting your hands dirty, creating some sawdust, making some metal sparks, completely breaking an engine and not knowing how to fix it. Having to go to that book, to that catalog, not to the internet. Like those simple things that we used to do that made our stories. And we don't do that anymore. At least we don't do it as much because it's not as appreciated. It's not as valued. But I'm going to say this one thing. If you've ever been the person that starts a story and then everybody leans in, that rush, that adrenaline hit, is every bit as much of a dopamine spike as the next thing you scroll. Might be even more. Because having a room hang on your words because they want to hear your story, they want to see the punchline, they want to live vicariously through you, that's the thing that we used to live for. The only reason we wanted to go to the cookout and to the barbecue was to hear a few stories, and even more so to tell a few stories. And I don't know how you tell a story if you don't live a rich life. And our lives, they're filled with things. They're complicated. We have all the technology in the world, but I think our lives are losing a bit of that richness that our fathers and our grandfathers had in spades. So if you want to, if you need to, and I think we all should, learn how to captivate a crowd, learn how to spin a story, but you can't do either of them until you actually have some life experience. So gain a hobby, create some sawdust, get some dirt under your nails, and do the thing that for generations before us made men true men. Live that life, gain those experiences, and make that party more fun. So the only thing that you bring, or the most important thing that you bring, isn't a 6-pack of beer. It's you.
I don't ask for too much.